You're in the middle of a seemingly routine conversation when you notice her pupils dilating, her body subconsciously angling a little too closely towards yours. She lets out a focused exhale, almost like a silent moan under her breath. In that instant, it hits you like a truck. This married woman is undeniably turned on, and you're the one making her inner thighs quiver beneath her politely crossed legs. The flirtatious energy practically sparking between you now has her intoxicated in ways her husband hasn't inspired for years. While the moral high ground says you should immediately disengage from this luscious emotional minefield, another part of your brain wonders just how deep this married vixen's interest in your presence actually goes, leaving you hungry to detect those other electrifying giveaways that her domesticated reality can no longer satisfy her restless desires. It's an uncomfortable truth. No matter how loving and committed, some married women inevitably start developing profound cravings for men outside their primary partnership. An insatiable hunger no amount of couples counseling or date nights can satiate long-term. And whether this arises due to lack of passion, emotional disconnection, or just primal biological hardwiring, the core drive remains the same: to secretly covet and fantasize over the intoxicating prospects who stir their lust in ways their spouses no longer can. But unlike cheesy romance novels or movies often portray, the very real signs of a married woman falling for another man don't involve dramatic confrontations or salacious groping beneath restaurant tables. Her seduction cues tend to be far more subtle, yet rife with unmistakable subconscious symbolism if you know the precise emblems to look for. In this candid guide, you'll learn the top 7 giveaway signs that a married bombshell has a newly ignited meteor of passion streaking directly towards your orbit. From her unconscious body language to those loaded glances and vocal inflections, her hindbrain's irrepressible lust will finally become impossible for you to miss or misinterpret. Some of these insights may seem shockingly overt. Others appear so innocuous on the surface, you've likely overlooked them countless times before. But by the end of this deliciously illicit trail of revelations, you'll emerge as a finely tuned seduction intuitive armed with the power to scent even the most discreet forces of extramarital temptation radiating from any married intriguer before it grows into something undeniable. So get prepared to have your mind blown and assumptions shattered, because these transmission signals from the feminine ID tend to be uninhibited and intense no matter how subtly they initially manifest. Sign number 1, arousal signaling body language. According to numerous research studies, the body tends to automatically start signaling arousal states long before the conscious mind has fully caught up to registering those emotional impulses. And for married women feeling the first pangs of forbidden desire towards you, those somatic symptoms will begin radiating from every molecular fiber whether she's cognitively prepared to admit the attraction or not. So while she might insist on putting up a facade of propriety and innocence on the surface, her body's microgesturing and physicality will inadvertently broadcast she's dying to pull you between those bedsheets and ravage you silly. Things like excessive hair tossing and preening gestures as if constantly preparing to look her absolute best in your presence. Shifty weight transfers and torso rotations angling her body to perpetually face you head-on, no matter where either of you repositions. And her eyes periodically smoldering and dilating with arousal fire no matter how desperately she tries to downplay those visceral responses. Then there's the subtle kino-escalations she'll attempt to covertly initiate, unconsciously ravenous for even the most innocent excuse to indulge some tactile contact. Lightly brushing up against you as she walks by. Playful arm punches and elbow nudges to sustain skin-to-skin friction. Questionable accidental caresses and grazing gestures designed to test boundaries just enough without committing blatant infractions. These involuntary symptoms belly the truth that on some primal level, her body can no longer contain its fierce yearning to covet, study and ultimately consume that which it now craves from you. She may preach loyalty and virtue through her words, but her anatomy recklessly abandons any such veneers to instead wordlessly profess, "Take me. I'm yours." Sign number 2, inappropriate personal questions. Another classic red flag of acute mental distraction and fixation stemming from an extramarital crush is the sudden onset of extremely intimate, personal questions bleeding into casual conversation. Wildly inappropriate queries she'd frankly never dare probe prior to getting ensnared in your intoxicating atmospheric trance. But now that her subconscious has tasted even a microdose of your desirability, that insatiable curiosity about the innermost crevices of your essence takes over like a swarm of metaphysical locusts. So what exactly are your fantasies and turn-offs in the bedroom these days? How would you describe your current approach and philosophy regarding sex and intimacy? Have you ever struggled with infidelity or wandering eyes in past relationships? Much like a parched wanderer suddenly stumbling upon a glistening desert oasis, questions like these represent animalistic urgencies to gorge upon any morsel of information that might help her psyche better conceptualize you as a credible potential mate. To start mapping out all the nooks and crannies surrounding this irrepressible new fixation colonizing her psyche. And while she'll surely attempt to frame these wildly inappropriate forays into your personal intimacies through the lenses of just harmless conversation between friends, make no mistake, these bold inquisitions have nothing innocent about their intentions. Every answer you divulge gets discreetly cataloged in her mental spank bank for kinky fantasy rehearsals later involving you as her lead co-star. Sign number 3, finding transparently flimsy pretexts to interact. When a hitched female's limerent focus becomes this lasciviously magnetized by your essence, she'll begin subconsciously manufacturing a parade of flimsy justifications to frequently intersect with your presence and sustain bathing in your aura. No matter how illogical, convoluted, or downright irrational, she'll grasp at literally any pretense to summon repeated FaceTime where she can feverishly drink you in. This might look like suddenly developing heightened investments in shared hobbies or interests she previously showed zero passions for. Contriving group hangs and activities exclusively framed as platonic to disguise the true urgency surging within. Constantly tying herself to group threads or digital channels she knows you frequent regularly. And so on. The excuses will come fast, frequent, and woefully transparent to the objective observer. OMG, I just totally got into chess again and was wondering if you could give me some tips. Would you be able to help me with marketing for this online shop idea I'm cooking up? Have you watched that super popular show yet? No? Well, we should totally binge it together. While the rationales seem innocuous at surface level, the rapacious motivations fueling them remain unmistakable. Her psyche now utterly intoxicated by your presence, willing to concoct literally any plausible context to repeatedly summon, relish, and stave off the searing withdrawal sure to come from being starved of your essence for too long. Even transparently feigned interests, no matter how detached from reality, become acceptable sacrifices to continually pull your aura back into her intimate orbit for further sultry communion. In her mind, their purpose serves one aim only, bringing your radiantly hyper-desirable form back into her energetic field for feasting, no matter how briefly. Sign number 4, blatantly complimenting your specific intimate appeal. She can't help but overtly point out the intoxicating qualities that have her obsessively craving you: your athletic physique, intense eye contact, magnetic confidence, way with words, etc. Anything that radiates your irresistible prowess as a virile, desirable mate. These enthusiastic compliments represent her hindbrain desperately validating that the raging desire is rooted in your objectively seductive properties that pierced her defenses. She needs to reinforce and relish in the very traits that hooked her so deeply, shamelessly indulging in fantasy fodder about the attributes that cracked her marital armor. Signs like "you're just so fit and ruggedly handsome" or "I'm captivated by your brilliant mind" are testing grounds. If you accept her praises, you're validating her unshakable lust to intensify further. Sign number 5, excessive social media attention. In the digital age, one giveaway is her incessant social media oversharing and attention-seeking screaming "notice me." Examples include constantly tagging you in mundane updates, injecting herself into every online conversation you have, commenting, reacting to virtually everything you post. She craves your engagement to validate her infatuation looms as large in your mind as it does in hers. More overtly, she'll excessively compliment any selfies flaunting your physique, unable to control her thirst. Her ultimate play is sharing suggestive pic snippets designed to arouse you, like "oops, accidentally posted this embarrassing bedroom selfie," or "got this daring dress, too much?" While framed as casual, these are clear siren calls begging you to ravage the smoldering temptation she keeps stoking. Sign number 6, crossing intimacy boundaries. As her extramarital lust inevitably intensifies from the prolonged simmering, one of the most glaring giveaways involves her steadily ratcheting up boundary violations, testing just how intimate she can gradually get away with becoming in your presence. This frequently begins with seemingly innocent gestures, lingering hugs that extend a few beats too long, tender caresses masquerading as friendly gestures, unexpected light kisses somewhere innocuous like the cheek or hand that stretch past what'd be considered platonic. From there, the osmotic escalation grows more overt, explicitly risque comments probing your interests or turn-ons, outright inappropriate touching or groping your body in surprising moments when privacy allows, maybe even going as far as orchestrating opportunistic glimpses of her in undress or catching her in compromising states of undress. While she'll surely attempt to gaslight any confrontations about these transgressions as totally unintentional or silly misunderstandings, don't be fooled. Each incremental breach catalyzes from an unshakable subconscious mission to make unmistakably clear through her actions that this fascination has irreversibly transcended the platonic realm. That no boundaries of propriety or restraint regarding you can possibly contain her rapacious compulsions any longer. With every escalating border she audaciously obliterates, you're being overtly shown that this demure marital temptress seeks nothing less than ravenous intimacy and consummation with your virile essence. That the building pressures of her fevered limerence have achieved a supercritical detonation point where only the explosive release of finally indulging can possibly bring catharsis. Sign number 7. Covert isolation attempts. Once this married enchantress reaches the delirious point of abandoning all self-restraint from actively plotting her adulterous seduction, one of her final psychological maneuvers will be manufacturing opportunities and situations to isolate you away from any prying eyes or third parties. This frequently plays out as her suggesting one-on-one activities, work functions, road trips, errands, or any other context providing the privacy and seclusion ripe for passion to erupt. The more intimate and enclosed the setting, the higher her subconscious motivations for encouraging it. She may disguise these covert isolation attempts as completely benign invitations under platonic auspices, grabbing a quick one-on-one lunch to run an idea by you, scheduling an in-person meetup to review a shared project, suggesting a workout session with just the two of you, that sort of thing. But really, their covert psychological agenda centers around creating a ripe window of solitude where she can finally unleash her inhibitions and sexual tension that's been combusting unchecked all this time. Combined with all the other psychological grooming and intimacy escalation she's been ceaselessly laying over your interactions, these isolation plays represent the ultimate piece de resistance to finally procuring the privacy necessary for everything to reach its inescapable consummation. To give her unfettered access for shamelessly indulging the unbridled lust and fantasy that's been maddening her psyche from afar up to now. She knows that with just you two alone, the mystique and plausible deniability disintegrate completely. That whatever sexual tension and erotic subtext has steadily been accreting over your exchanges gets set ablaze with no remaining relational barriers to halt it. Only then can she act out those searing compulsions wholly and without mercy before retreating back to the domesticated life she'll surely loathe returning to even more after that ravenous slaking. There you have it, 7 of the most unmistakable giveaways that a married woman in your life has been seized by uncontrollable cravings for you on a primal, intimate level. While the very notion of destroying sacred marital vows might make your conscience recoil, understand that on some deeply carnal plane, you've already bewitched her subconscious mind beyond any point of salvaging.